A journey of persistence. Learning English can feel like an overwhelming challenge, especially for those who are learning it as a second or third language. For many, the idea of becoming fluent in English seems like a far-off dream, and setbacks along the way can lead to frustration and feelings of inadequacy. However, the journey to mastering English is not one of overnight success, but rather one of persistence, trial and error, and continual growth. If you're learning English and feeling like you're not making progress, I encourage you to keep going. In this story, we will explore the journey of Alex, a young man from Brazil who learned the power of persistence and how, by not giving up, he was able to transform his relationship with English and achieve his goals. The beginning of the struggle. Alex had always been a dreamer. Growing up in Brazil, he had big aspirations to travel the world, work in international business, and experience life beyond the borders of his hometown. However, there was one major obstacle standing in his way: English. It was a language he had studied in school, but much like many students, his lessons focused mainly on grammar rules, vocabulary lists, and written exercises. Despite years of study, Alex never felt truly comfortable with the language, especially when it came to speaking or understanding native speakers. After graduating from university, Alex secured a job at a local tech company. His team was diverse, with employees from all over the world, and English was the primary language used in meetings and communications. At first, Alex thought he could manage just fine. He could read emails and understand technical documents without too much trouble, but when it came time for discussions, he often found himself lost in the conversation. The speed at which his colleagues spoke, the slang they used, and the range of accents made it difficult for him to follow along. There were moments when he would nod and smile, pretending to understand, but inside he was panicking. The fear of speaking up and making mistakes held him back from fully participating in meetings. Worse still, Alex could sense that his lack of fluency was hindering his career growth. He had the qualifications, but English seemed like an insurmountable wall preventing him from progressing. One day, during a company meeting, Alex was asked to present an idea he had been working on. His heart raced as he began to speak, and his nerves took over. He stumbled over his words, mispronounced phrases, and could barely string together a coherent sentence. The meeting room was filled with silence as Alex finished his presentation, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he had let everyone down. That evening, as Alex sat at his desk, he felt defeated. The weight of his failure pressed heavily on his shoulders. He couldn't help but wonder, will I ever be able to speak English with confidence? Will I ever reach a level where I can communicate as fluently as my colleagues? A turning point. As Alex sat in his room that evening, consumed by frustration, he heard a knock at the door. It was his older sister, Sophia, who had always been a source of encouragement and support in his life. Seeing his downcast expression, Sophia asked him what was wrong. Alex explained how his struggles with English were holding him back in his career. "You know, Alex," Sophia said, "I know it's tough right now, but you shouldn't give up. English is just another skill, and just like any skill, it takes time to master. I've seen you overcome challenges before. You just need to keep going." "But I've been studying for years and still feel stuck," Alex replied. "I'm frustrated because I know I can do more, but I just don't feel confident when it comes to speaking or understanding fast speech." Sophia smiled kindly. "I understand, but here's the thing, you're not alone. Everyone who learns a language goes through these struggles. The key is not to give up. You need to change your mindset. Focus on progress, not perfection. Make small improvements every day, and you'll see results over time." Her words sparked something inside of Alex. He realized that he had been too focused on the idea of being perfect in English, which led to discouragement every time he stumbled or made a mistake. What if, instead, he focused on making small improvements, no matter how insignificant they seemed? What if he gave himself permission to make mistakes and learned from them? That night, Alex made a decision. He would not give up on learning English. No matter how difficult it felt, he was determined to push through the struggles and make progress, one step at a time. A new approach. The next day, Alex decided to change his approach to learning English. He knew that he had to make his learning experience more enjoyable and practical, not just focused on grammar and vocabulary drills. He began to listen to English podcasts during his commute to work. Initially, it was difficult to keep up with the speakers, but Alex pushed through. He used subtitles when available and repeated phrases until he could pronounce them correctly. It wasn't easy, but he noticed that little by little, he began to pick up on common expressions, idiomatic phrases, and the natural rhythm of the language. Alex also started watching English language movies and TV shows. He selected content that he enjoyed, such as action movies and drama series, and watched them with subtitles. He found that this made learning more fun and less of a chore. At first, he could barely understand what the characters were saying, but as he kept practicing, he began to recognize familiar words and phrases. Gradually, the dialogue began to make more sense, and he was able to follow the plot without relying too much on the subtitles. One key moment that stood out to Alex was when he watched the movie The Pursuit of Happiness with his friend Lucas. There was a scene where the main character, played by Will Smith, had a heartfelt conversation with his son. Alex had seen the movie before, but this time, with his English skills improving, he was able to understand much more of the conversation. He even noticed how Will Smith's character used various expressions and gestures to communicate his emotions, which deepened Alex's understanding of the language. Wow, I can actually understand what they're saying, Alex thought, feeling a surge of accomplishment. This was the first time in a long while that he had felt a sense of real progress. Embracing mistakes. Despite his small victories, Alex's journey wasn't without its challenges. He still made mistakes, sometimes even in simple conversations with colleagues. He would mispronounce words or struggle to find the right expression in a meeting. However, something had shifted inside him. Instead of feeling embarrassed by these mistakes, Alex began to embrace them as part of the learning process. He understood now that making mistakes was not a reflection of his inadequacy, but an opportunity to improve. One afternoon, Alex had to lead a meeting with his international colleagues. As he began speaking, his nerves crept in, but this time, he took a deep breath and reminded himself to focus on communicating his ideas clearly, rather than worrying about being perfect. During the meeting, he made a small mistake while explaining a new strategy. Instead of getting flustered, Alex simply acknowledged the mistake with a smile and corrected himself. To his surprise, his colleagues didn't mind at all. In fact, they appreciated his willingness to laugh at himself and keep going. The meeting went smoothly, and Alex was able to communicate his ideas effectively. After the meeting, his colleague, Sarah, gave him some feedback. "Alex, that was a great presentation. I really appreciate how you didn't let that little mistake stop you. That's the kind of attitude we need." Alex smiled, feeling a sense of pride. It was a turning point for him. He realized that it wasn't about avoiding mistakes, it was about how he handled them. His confidence grew, and he became more comfortable speaking in English, even in high-pressure situations. The rewards of persistence. As the months passed, Alex continued to make English a part of his daily life. He practiced speaking with friends, attended language exchange events, and even joined an online community where he could converse with native speakers. Slowly but surely, his language skills improved. He no longer hesitated to speak in meetings, and his understanding of fast speech became sharper. One day, Alex was assigned to lead an international project with a team of people from different countries. The project required constant communication with clients and colleagues across the globe, and English was the common language. Alex felt a sense of pride as he stepped into the role, knowing that his dedication to learning English had prepared him for this moment. The project was a success, and Alex's ability to communicate effectively in English played a key role in its outcome. His colleagues and managers praised his leadership and communication skills, and Alex couldn't help but feel grateful for the journey he had undertaken. "I never could have imagined this just a year ago," Alex thought to himself, reflecting on his progress. "It wasn't easy, but I kept going, and now I feel confident in my ability to speak English fluently." Conclusion. Alex's story is a testament to the power of persistence. Learning English or any language can be a long and sometimes difficult journey, but the key is not to give up. Progress may seem slow at times, but with consistent practice, patience, and a willingness to make mistakes, fluency is achievable. The most important thing is to keep going, even when it feels like you're not improving. Remember, language learning is not about perfection. It's about communication. Each step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. So, if you're struggling with your English studies, don't give up. Embrace the challenges, learn from your mistakes, and celebrate the progress you make along the way. You have the ability to succeed, just keep going, and the rewards will follow.